Hello! Summer is right around the corner, which is amazing. Ugh. Combining a reading tag and wrap up was so much fun last time that I decided to do it again. I have my iced tea. If you want to pause to get yours, go ahead and do that. I got stevia all over my glass. Now it's all frosty. Alright, let's start with my May reads. There were 4 of them, and surprisingly none of them was fiction, which is kind of a rare situation. There's plenty of fiction books in the rec tag portion, so don't worry. Alright, first I read This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay. I grabbed this one from the library when it popped up when I was browsing there. I rarely read books that have been published many years ago. I tend to mainly stick to the new releases. This was an eye-opening read in many ways, mostly because I have family and friends working in hospitals and healthcare, and I feel like I understand them a little bit better after reading this memoir. Kay tells the story of him studying and starting his career as a doctor and then having to leave the field 6 years later. This isn't a light read and the humor is quite dark. I guess the whole point is that the text is very honest. I think I might be gifting this one to the members of my community who work in the field. Then I read When Shame Gets Real by Carl Thomas. This was a sort of mix between memoir and self-help. Carl Thomas is the CEO of XXX Church, which is a project to help people to find freedom from unwanted sexual behavior. Sexuality is something rarely discussed in Christian communities, and this book shows how harmful it is and also gives many examples of how to talk about it. This isn't a quick light read either. I feel like I haven't read one in what feels like a month. I would still totally encourage to pick this up if you are interested in the topic. Then I read Becoming by Michelle Obama. This was a reread and I will talk about this more thoroughly in the book recommendation part. Short sum up, I loved it. I also went and watched Becoming and The Light We Carry from Netflix, and I wish to read The Light We Carry Finnish translation very soon. So yeah, loved it. And the last read of the month, which is still a little bit work in progress, is H is for Hawk by Helen MacDonald. I am confident though that I will finish this very soon, so I'm including this in the video anyway. This is something I would have never picked up without a recommendation. John Eldredge had a couple of snippets from this memoir in his book Get Your Life Back, which is my current Sunday read. I got curious and searched for H is for Hawk and realized that my local library had one copy right there sitting on the shelf, so I went there and got it. Funny story, I somehow got distracted in the library and walked out without properly borrowing it with my library card. I had to get back there a couple of days later when I realized the situation and just quietly borrowed it with my card and got home. This is a memoir about grieving and raising a hawk. I don't know if raise is the right verb. The language is very poetic and there's lots of like encyclopedia styled portions about certain people and the hawk. It is a weird and unique and intelligent read, I would say. It reminded me a lot about Finnish memoir called Asioita, jotka saavat sydämen lyömään nopeammin by Mia Kankimäki. It would be something like things that make the heart beat faster in English. Mia talks a lot about Japanese sei shonagan, and Helen talks a lot about Th. White in this book, which was kind of weird, but at least I learned a lot. Here is my version of Steph Borre's book recommendation tag. Number 1. A book you tell people is your favorite. That would be The Help by Kathryn Stockett. I've read this one at least 4 times by now, and each time it surprises me with its writing. I'm so sad Kathryn hasn't written any more books, because I would so want to read more from her. The story of 2 maids and 1 starting journalist is heartbreaking and exciting and nerve-wracking. It's just so great and so well done. Number 2. A book that is your guilty pleasure. The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I mean, there's no need to feel guilt about it. It's a great novel. By guilty pleasure I maybe mean the movie a little bit, and all in all YA subgenre about illness. I was 15 when the movie came out and I loved it. And then I went and read the book for the first time, like every teenager Western girl did that summer. It was only many years later that I realized that Ciclet is a real thing, and many other movies and books started to pop up. Like Everything, 5 Feet Apart, If I Stay, All My Life, Midnight Sun, etc. It started to feel a little bit corny. I'm not a fan of the subgenre, but I am a fan of John Green's writing. I admire his storytelling. I did when I was a teenager, and I do now as I'm an adult. I do have loads of his backlist still to catch up. Hopefully I get there at some point. Number 3. A book everyone loved but you didn't. And that would be It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Until recently I thought every single one of the book creators loved this book. I didn't, and apparently I'm not the only one. I just feel like it's so not worth the hype. Clockwise Reader said that it bugs her that it's marketized as romance, and I agree with her. I think domestic abuse is extremely difficult topic to write about, and I don't think It Ends With Us is the book to read about the topic. Also, many details were just meh. I simply don't see what other things people do like about this book, so it's a pass for me. 4. A book you read the fastest. One of Us Is Lying by Karen M. McManus. I don't like binging books anymore. I did that a lot when I was a kid, and it was summer break and I was so bored, and it made all the books to become this kind of same mush that I really didn't remember which part was from which book anymore. It did make the time go faster, which was kind of the whole point, so it worked back then. But anyway, I want to change the prompt to a book you read fast, and this was the last one I read really fast. It was a great mystery, and I think a lot of people would really enjoy this, and probably already have enjoyed it because it's not a very new release. Number 5. A book that deserves more hype. The Group by Christie Tate. This is such an important memoir about going to therapy. Christie talks about her depression and eating disorder, and how the group therapy setting helped her to notice her shame and express all of her emotions. This really had an impact on me. Something about reading someone being so honest was first of all super refreshing and also really important. I've said it already many times, but let me say it one more time. I'm really looking forward to reading BFF, which is Christie Tate's second book, and which I should have already gotten from the library, but I have not. Apparently it takes forever to get an American book to Finland, and those are just the geological realities we are living with here up north. Number 6. A book that is becoming a movie/TV show. The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Day. Well, at least a part of the series has already published. I'm not sure if it's published as a whole already. I haven't watched it yet. That's kind of surprising, but I probably won't even watch it. I don't have the service it's on, probably Apple TV. I have many series to watch at the moment and it just hasn't been a top priority. Lego Masters Finland has been the top priority for me and my husband during the spring, so The Last Thing He Told Me just has to wait. I really like Jennifer Gardner and I have a gut feeling that she will suit the role of Hannah really well. I also prefer movies to series because I feel like you have to really connect with the series to keep continuing to watch, and that has happened only with Friends to me, and yeah, if it would have been a movie I probably would have already watched it. 7. A book that you reread the most. The Help by Kathryn Stockett. There are non-fiction books that I've reread, but I think the #1 spot goes to The Help. There's just so many more details to find, and so many levels of the story and the themes of race and class, and it's all in all very thrilling and challenging and entertaining reading experience. We'll probably reread it in the summer or in the fall this year as well. 8. A book from a genre you don't typically read. Becoming by Michelle Obama. I don't read a ton of memoirs. I feel like there are a lot of work to get through, even though they are usually very great books. The first time I read Becoming was listening to the Finnish audiobook, and I just recently realized that she must narrate the English version herself. Like, how cool is that? I picked kind of the worst option, I guess, because the Finnish audiobook, or the audiobooks in general, didn't have, of course, all the photos, so it's been really nice to get a peek to them as well. And I've just admired her writing style, this time like even more than the first. I didn't really remember how amazing this was. Especially the beginning of her life is so carefully captured, with all the details about growing up in a black community in south side of Chicago. She truly is an inspiration, and even though I don't think there is anyone from our generation who hasn't read this book, if that is you, this is your sign to go and read Becoming by Michelle Obama. 9. A book that deserves all the hype it gets. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I mean, it does get a lot of hype, even to annoying levels. Then again, it's truly magnificent. It's like nothing I've ever read in the best possible way. It's so believable, and the attention to detail is amazing. 10. A book you usually recommend when asked to give a recommendation. Fix Your Period by Nicole Jardim. Well, if asked for a fiction recommendation, I probably would say something that I've already talked about or will talk about after this non-fiction pick, which is a very important book to me. I recommend this to everyone, no matter if they are interested in hormone health or not. My sister is probably sick of me talking about this book. Of course, there are many options to go to when talking about hormone health books. I just happened to start with this one, and I think it's a great one to start with. It's funny, it's informative, and it's very practical. 11. A book that has your favorite characters. Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I might answer differently if I just hadn't finished one Narnia story. They are not super memorable, and I don't think about the characters in my everyday life, unlike I know some people do with their favorite book casts. Nevertheless, I do love the characters in Narnia. I love the 4 kiddos who end up growing up in Narnia and becoming wise rulers. I love Puddleglum and Rhea the talking horse and all the magical creatures. And I love Aslan, who is probably the best example of Jesus in fiction that has ever been made. 12. A book you wish you could live in. Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling. I mean, it must be a popular choice. Ever since I read them as a kid, Hogwarts has just felt so utterly magical that I would so want to live there. One thing I love about Harry Potter is how the magical world is so connected to the real London and the United Kingdom, both of which I adore so much. I haven't even watched the films because for so long I was very worried that they would ruin the real Hogwarts, which is in my imagination, naturally. My favorite book in the series is The Prisoner of Azkaban. 13. A book you thought you would hate but ended up loving. Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This is a funny question because probably nobody picks up a book and reads it if they really think that they are gonna hate it, like maybe like not enjoy it. I choose Everything I Know About Love because I picked it up when recommended and it took a while to get into it. It was a bit confusing and her humor took a second to understand when she's changing the text types so often. After finishing it, I already saw myself recommending it to my other 20-something lady friends. I'm looking forward to reading Dear Dolly as well. 14. A book that made you cry. Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I was so not thinking I would cry with that specific novel, but then I did. I wasn't sure how the book was going to end and the final plot twist caught me by surprise. I have liked all of Emily Henry's books. Maybe People We Meet on Vacation, maybe the most. Apparently Happy Place is phenomenal and very emotional. Again, the newer releases take a long time to get all the way up north here, so I haven't read it yet, unfortunately. Book Lovers had a fun setting, themes of grief and guilt, and such a great female lead character. 15. A book you wish you could read for the first time. Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. This is a classic for a reason. I don't wish I hadn't read it when I was a kid. I just wish for the virgin reading experience, I guess, without knowing who are the people and what's gonna happen next. I probably should do a reread of all the Anne novels. Maybe that could be a little cozy project for the autumn. Anne is my absolute favorite character of all the female protagonists in the literature of the change of 19th and 20th century. 16. A book that could cure a reading slump. Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. Mark my words, this is not a plot-heavy book. Why do I think it could cure a slump? Because it's so great. There's a mystery element where the reader knows before the characters how they are all connected. There's romance, there's a cute little girl with really funny lines, and there's so many fantastic details that picture the lives of these two ladies who come from very different backgrounds. I hope they translate this one into Finnish because I would really want to read it in my first language. I just recently found out that Kylie Reid is publishing a new novel in January of next year. I don't remember what it's called, but I will surely be reading that one. 17. A book you think everyone needs to read. Wild at Heart or Captivating by John and Stacey Eldredge. I feel like I talk about the Eldredges on every single book video I make, and that's about right. Their books offer such a personal, intimate point of view to Christianity today. Who is Jesus and what he wants of you? Captivating especially has been life-changing for me, and I've read it multiple times ever since I got it as a teenager, and I will continue to reread it through my adulthood because it's just so helpful and there's so much wisdom there. 18. A book you think would make an amazing movie. Mary Jane by Jessica, Anya, Blau. This was so sweet. Mary Jane is summer babysitting in a peculiar family, where the dad is a psychotherapist helping a rock star couple. Mary Jane comes from very quiet and strict home, and the summer is opening her eyes to all sorts of new possibilities. I think this could work so well in a movie form, and I would definitely watch it. 19. A book you wish everyone would give a shot, even if it's out of their comfort zone. Our Missing Hearts by Celeste. Celeste is Reese's Book Club's double-picked author, and I think any of her 3 novels would suit this prompt. Our Missing Heart is the newest and maybe the most political as well. I think these novels just sum up something very unique about being a human. It's kind of hard to capture into words, actually. They discuss the meaning of stories, the complexity of families, and love and friendships in a special way. And lastly, number 20, a book you will never forget. Piruettiystävyys by Kirsti Kuronen. This is Finnish YA about anorexia, first love and loneliness. I think this has been the first book ever to put the feelings that I was having into words, and that is a very powerful experience. There's so much wisdom in this novel. I still read it every couple of years. It also encourages to speak up about harsh feelings and thoughts, and is very therapy positive, which wasn't as common in the 2010 when this was first published, as it maybe is now. Alright, that's it. I hope you found something new to add to your never-ending TBR. See you next time.